Every menstrual cycle carries a rhythm of its own, flowing through the body in ways that change from month to month and from person to person. And this uniqueness is not only normal, but an essential part of how your reproductive system expresses itself. As you move through the 2-week wait, you might find your body reacting differently than it did last cycle, with new sensations, fewer symptoms, or an entirely unfamiliar pattern. And all of these possibilities reflect natural hormonal variation, rather than a sign that something is wrong. Your body is not a machine repeating a script. It's a living, shifting system responding to stress, rest, nutrition, emotion, hormones, and countless invisible factors that shape your experience. When you feel uncertain or tempted to compare your cycle to someone else's story online, take a breath and remember that your body has permission to move at its own pace. There is no perfect pattern you need to match, and no universal timeline you need to follow. This is your cycle, your rhythm, and your journey, exactly as it's meant to be. During this waiting period, it's incredibly common to look for signs and try to decode what each sensation might mean. But the truth is that your experience does not need to look like anyone else's for things to be going well. You might feel more emotional or calmer than usual, or you might notice changes that feel random or unconnected. But all of these fluctuations are part of the natural diversity in menstrual cycles. What your friend felt while waiting for her positive test does not dictate what you should feel. And the stories you see online are just pieces of a much larger picture of variation. Your body might whisper, shout, or stay silent, and none of these patterns predict success or failure. Give yourself permission to stop comparing and instead trust the quiet intelligence of your body, which knows exactly what it's doing, even when you don't have all the answers yet. Hormones shift every day during the luteal phase, and these shifts influence mood, temperature, digestion, energy, and sensations in ways that can feel unpredictable. But unpredictability is not a warning sign. It's simply how biology behaves. Progesterone rises, estrogen dips, and your brain and body respond differently each cycle, depending on sleep, stress levels, exercise, and emotional state. You might feel cramping one month and none the next, or experience sore breasts one cycle and completely normal breasts the next. And these changes have nothing to do with whether implantation happened. Your body adapts constantly, responding to processes you cannot see, and the variability is a natural expression of this delicate system. Rather than fearing inconsistency, embrace it as proof that your body is alive, dynamic, and doing its work behind the scenes. It can be unsettling when your body behaves differently, especially if you're hoping for signs of pregnancy. But difference does not equal danger, and change does not equal failure. Even the healthiest people experience cycles that shift in length, intensity, and symptoms, and these changes often arise for reasons unrelated to fertility. Stress at work, travel, diet changes, or even excitement can affect ovulation and the luteal phase without harming the possibility of pregnancy. If your symptoms seem lighter, heavier, earlier, or later than usual, this variation is still within the spectrum of what the body considers normal. Your body is allowed to surprise you, and its unpredictability is not a message of bad news. Instead, it is simply a part of what makes each cycle uniquely yours. The concept of a perfect 28-day cycle is more of a teaching tool than a biological rule, and less than a quarter of people experience that pattern consistently, which means that your cycle may shift longer or shorter without any cause for alarm. When you're waiting for a possible pregnancy, even a one-day difference can feel overwhelming. But your body has not made a mistake. It is simply following its own internal timing. Ovulation may shift by a day or two, luteal phases may extend slightly due to progesterone, and the onset of a period may vary without indicating success or failure. Instead of interpreting every shift as a sign, allow your body the freedom to move naturally, knowing that slight changes are not only expected, but entirely harmless. As you move through the 2-week wait, try to hold on to the understanding that your body's uniqueness is not something to fear, it is something to trust. You don't need to control every sensation or analyze every change, because your body has been designed with layers of intelligence that guide each cycle with precision, even when you feel uncertain. This variation is not chaos. It is the language of your hormones, your emotions, your health, and your biology working together. Let yourself breathe into the truth that your experience is valid exactly as it is, and nothing about your uniqueness makes your journey any less hopeful. You are moving through this process in the way that your body knows best, and that is enough. Progesterone rises naturally after ovulation, and because it is also the dominant hormone in early pregnancy, the symptoms it creates can feel identical, making it incredibly difficult to distinguish between normal luteal phase sensations and the early signs of implantation. As you move through the 2-week wait, you might notice breast tenderness, bloating, mood swings, or mild nausea, and these experiences can spark hope or anxiety as you try to interpret what they mean. But these sensations do not necessarily predict anything. They are simply the result of progesterone doing the job it's meant to do. Your body does not distinguish between progesterone for a cycle and progesterone for early pregnancy, so the signals you feel overlap in a way that is completely normal. Instead of assuming every sensation carries a hidden message, allow yourself to acknowledge the simple truth that your hormones are working exactly as designed. The body does not send clear text messages during the luteal phase, which is why so many early pregnancy symptoms look and feel indistinguishable from typical premenstrual patterns. Hormones are not precise storytellers. They are chemical signals creating shifts in mood, digestion, temperature, and energy that blend together in ways that can be confusing. One day, you may feel energized and calm, and the next you may experience emotional sensitivity or fatigue. But all of these patterns can arise purely from progesterone. Even if you've been pregnant before, your symptoms may not follow the same pattern, because hormone levels vary from cycle to cycle and from pregnancy to pregnancy. When your mind tries to decode each moment, remember that the overlap is natural and not a sign of anything going wrong. It's simply biology behaving like biology. It's easy to assume that feeling unusual must mean something significant, especially during the emotionally charged 2-week wait. But the truth is that feeling different does not guarantee pregnancy any more than feeling normal rules it out. Some cycles bring heightened sensitivity to smells or foods, while others bring constipation, headaches, or emotional swings, all of which are completely routine responses to progesterone. On the other hand, some people feel absolutely no changes at all, and still end up pregnant without ever experiencing a single early symptom. The variability is not a sign of failure. It's simply the natural diversity of how the body responds to hormone levels. The absence or presence of feelings is not a reliable indicator, and you deserve to hold space for both possibilities without self-judgment. Progesterone's role is to prepare your uterine lining, regulate temperature, support potential implantation, and stabilize your mood. But none of these processes are intended to reveal whether fertilization occurred. Your body is doing the same work it does every month to create the ideal environment for an embryo, and those processes can feel intense, subtle, or completely quiet depending on countless internal factors. The sensations you notice, whether strong or faint, are not signs of success or failure, but simply signs that your body is doing exactly what it should do after ovulation. When we expect symptoms to give us answers, we set ourselves up for confusion and heartache, because the body's job is preparation, not prediction. Remind yourself that these signals reflect healthy function rather than a final result. During the 2-week wait, emotions run high, and it's natural to want control or clarity, but progesterone operates independently of your hopes, fears, or expectations. It can cause breast tenderness even when you are not pregnant, or it can cause no symptoms at all even when pregnancy is beginning, because hormone sensitivity varies from cycle to cycle. Some cycles your body may respond strongly to progesterone, and other cycles it may respond quietly, and neither reaction predicts the outcome. This hormonal unpredictability can be frustrating, especially when your mind is looking for certainty, but it is not a flaw. It is simply how the endocrine system functions. Your body is following chemistry, not emotion, and that's okay. As you move through this waiting period, remind yourself that your symptoms are not puzzles you must solve or clues you must decode. Your body already knows what it is doing, and the hormonal sensations you feel, whether subtle, intense, or absent, are simply part of the internal work happening behind the scenes. You don't need to interpret every twinge or search for hidden meaning, because early pregnancy does not require you to recognize its arrival for it to happen. Trust that your body is managing the complexity for you, and allow yourself moments of gentleness, rest, and patience. You are not failing by not knowing. You are simply observing a process that was never designed to reveal its secrets early, and that is completely, beautifully okay. It can feel unsettling to move through the 2-week wait without experiencing any of the symptoms you've heard others describe, but the absence of sensations does not mean that pregnancy isn't happening. In fact, Many healthy pregnancies begin in complete silence. Your body may choose to respond very subtly in the early days, keeping hormonal changes mostly internal and invisible. Some women only realize they are pregnant when their period doesn't arrive, not because their body wasn't changing, but because the changes simply didn't translate into noticeable sensations. The early stages of pregnancy focus on cellular development, implantation, and hormonal shifts that don't always cause outward feelings, and this quiet beginning is just as normal as the more symptomatic ones. Instead of assuming the worst, allow yourself to understand that silence is not a negative sign. It is simply one version of normal biology. A common misconception is that early pregnancy must come with nausea, breast tenderness, fatigue, or dizziness. But the truth is that these symptoms are optional and vary dramatically from person to person. Some bodies respond strongly to rising hormones, while others maintain stability for weeks before noticeable sensations begin. The presence of symptoms does not guarantee pregnancy, and the absence of symptoms does not rule it out. Both experiences exist across millions of healthy pregnancies. You might feel completely normal, moving through your days with no hint of change, and yet your body could be doing everything it needs to nurture new life. This calm response reflects differences in hormone sensitivity, metabolism, and brain chemistry, none of which are indicators of whether pregnancy has occurred. Your body's gentleness in this moment is not failure. It is simply its chosen mode of operation. Even if you have been pregnant before, your current experience may look nothing like your previous one, because every pregnancy creates a unique hormonal signature that your body responds to in new ways. You might have had strong cravings or sensitivity in the past, yet feel absolutely nothing this time around, and both patterns are equally valid. The body adapts differently depending on your emotional state, stress levels, overall health, sleep habits, and even small variations in implantation timing, making each pregnancy a completely distinct event. This lack of consistency is normal, not alarming, and it reflects the fluid nature of biology rather than any sign of trouble. Your body is capable of creating multiple healthy outcomes through many different experiences, including one where early signs are almost invisible. For many people, the quietness of a symptom-free 2-week wait can feel like emotional protection, offering a space where you aren't constantly pulled between hope and doubt. When the body isn't generating intense sensations, your mind is less likely to spiral into overinterpretation, allowing for a calmer and more stable wait. This absence of symptoms can help you remain grounded rather than caught in the roller coaster of analyzing every twinge, and that calm is a strength, not a weakness. Your body might be gently shielding you from physical or emotional overload by keeping early changes subtle. Instead of viewing the quiet as emptiness, try to see it as a sign that your body is managing things smoothly, without needing to draw attention to itself. Most classic pregnancy symptoms like nausea and strong fatigue aren't triggered immediately after implantation. They usually develop as HCG levels continue to rise over time, often becoming noticeable only after a missed period. That means that the earliest days of pregnancy often feel identical to a normal luteal phase, giving no outward clues while the embryo continues developing internally. Implantation alone does not usually create strong sensations, and early hormonal changes may be too mild for your nervous system to detect. Many people don't feel anything at all until 5 or 6 weeks, which is completely typical and medically expected. So if you are symptom-free right now, it doesn't mean your body isn't changing. It simply means it's not expressing those changes dramatically yet. As you move through these days, remind yourself that your worth and your outcome are not defined by sensations or by the lack of them. Feeling nothing is a valid experience, and it holds just as much possibility as cycles filled with symptoms. Your body may be quieter than expected, but quiet does not mean inactive. It means the process is unfolding in its own way, at its own pace, without demanding your constant attention. This stillness can be part of your story, and there is no need to label it as good or bad. Trust that your body knows what it's doing, even when it gives you no signs at all. You are not behind, you are not failing, and your quiet journey is just as worthy of hope as any other. Implantation is one of the most delicate processes in early pregnancy, unfolding softly between 8 and 10 days after ovulation, often without producing any dramatic sensations. As the tiny embryo settles into the uterine lining, the body responds with incredible precision, guiding cellular communication and hormonal shifts so subtle that most people never feel them. Even when there are signs, like light cramping or faint spotting, they tend to be mild, quick, and easily overlooked. This quietness is intentional. The body is focused entirely on creating the most stable environment possible, not on generating symptoms. The gentle nature of implantation means that feeling little or nothing is not only normal, it is expected for many people. Your body can be doing everything right without sending loud signals. Some people notice light, brief cramps that feel different from typical period cramps, while others may observe a tiny amount of watery pink or brown spotting. But these signs are not universal and are not required for a healthy pregnancy. Implantation bleeding, despite its popularity in online discussions, actually happens in a minority of pregnancies, and its absence should never discourage you.
Cramping may occur because the uterus is responding to hormonal messages, adjusting its muscle tone slightly, or simply reacting to progesterone, none of which predict anything about outcomes. Whether you experience soft sensations or absolute quiet, your body is still capable of completing implantation successfully. Nothing is wrong if your experience doesn't match what others describe.
One of the reasons implantation signs are so confusing is that they overlap significantly with ordinary luteal phase sensations triggered by progesterone. Light cramps, pelvic heaviness, breast shifts, mood changes, or subtle waves of fatigue are all common after ovulation, whether pregnancy occurs or not. Many women look back only after a positive test and realize that what they attributed to normal cycle symptoms may have been early pregnancy changes in disguise. But distinguishing between the two in real time is nearly impossible because the body doesn't design implantation to announce itself. Instead, it prioritizes consistency, warmth, and hormonal balance, choosing subtlety over spectacle. This overlap is not a flaw. It's simply how the reproductive system operates. During implantation, the uterus and hormones work in harmony to create a stable, nurturing environment for the developing embryo, and this harmony is often experienced as calm rather than intensity. The endometrial lining becomes receptive, blood vessels reorganize, and biochemical signals guide the embryo deeper into place, all without causing dramatic sensations for most people. This lack of intensity is actually a protective mechanism. The body avoids sudden contractions, sharp pain, or disruptive processes to allow the embryo to settle safely. What you interpret as nothing happening is actually your body maintaining delicate equilibrium with remarkable precision. You may feel calm, peaceful, or simply normal, and all of these states support implantation beautifully. For those who do experience symptoms, they are usually brief flickers rather than long-lasting sensations, a gentle tugging feeling, a few moments of warmth in the pelvis, or a quick wave of softness across the lower abdomen. Implantation is not meant to feel like menstrual cramps, nor is it supposed to produce heavy bleeding or sharp pain. Its signals, when they appear, are like whispers rather than shouts, often lasting only a few minutes or a couple of hours. If something feels intense or painful, it is almost always unrelated to implantation, and much more likely to be ordinary cycle behavior or digestive discomfort. The body's intention during this stage is to keep everything as smooth and subtle as possible. Perhaps the most comforting truth is that implantation does not require your involvement, awareness, or interpretation. It is a fully internal, self-guided process that the body has perfected through evolution, and it unfolds whether or not you feel anything at all. Your job is simply to live, breathe, rest, hydrate, and allow your system to work without pressure or fear. The absence of symptoms does not represent a lack of progress. It represents your body functioning quietly and efficiently behind the scenes. Trust that your reproductive system understands what to do, even when you are not conscious of its activity. You don't need signs to prove that something is happening. Your body already knows the choreography, step by gentle step. Basal body temperature often rises after ovulation because progesterone warms the body, and some charts show a brief dip around implantation, but this dip is not guaranteed, and not experiencing it is completely normal. Many people track their temperature hoping for a clear sign, but the truth is that this pattern only appears in a fraction of cycles and is easily influenced by sleep, stress, room temperature, illness, or timing errors. Your body is far more complex than a single number on a chart, and expecting a perfect implantation dip can lead to unnecessary anxiety. Even in confirmed pregnancies, many women never see a dip at all. The presence or absence of this tiny change does not define your chance of being pregnant. It simply reflects natural variability in hormonal response. Basal temperature is affected by countless unrelated elements, from how deeply you slept to whether you woke up earlier than usual, from how warm your blankets were to whether you had a stressful day before. Even slight alcohol consumption, late-night eating, or tossing and turning can shift the temperature enough to create misleading patterns. This sensitivity means that a dip or rise is not always connected to reproductive events, and reading too much into these fluctuations can create confusion rather than clarity. Your chart might look messy or inconsistent, but this is simply how real human bodies behave, not a sign of failure. Temperature tracking is a helpful tool for understanding ovulation timing, but it is far less reliable for predicting pregnancy. For many people who do notice a dip, its significance only becomes clear after a positive pregnancy test, when they look back at the chart and notice the pattern retroactively. In the moment, it rarely appears unusual, dramatic, or meaningful, and often blends in with the natural ups and downs of the luteal phase. The idea that implantation must come with a temperature shift is largely shaped by online charts rather than medical reality. Many of these shared charts represent cherry-picked examples rather than universal rules. Implantation can happen with no noticeable dip, no sudden shift, and no consistent temperature signal at all. Your chart doesn't need to look perfect or match others for your cycle to still result in pregnancy. Consistently elevated basal temperatures after ovulation are a good sign that progesterone is present and doing its job, and the steady warmth is the pattern most people experience. There is no need for dramatic drops or spikes for things to be progressing normally. Many pregnancies begin with charts that look completely ordinary, predictable, and uneventful. The goal of the luteal phase is stability, and your body maintains that stability beautifully, whether or not implantation creates visible chart changes. A calm, steady temperature line is one of the most common and healthy patterns you can have, and it reflects balance, not lack of progress. It's easy to treat your chart like a puzzle or a prediction tool, especially during the emotionally intense 2-week wait, but BBT tracking was never designed to confirm or deny pregnancy. Its main purpose is to show that ovulation has already happened, not to reveal what happens afterward. When you stare at every rise or fall trying to interpret meaning, you place immense pressure on a method that cannot provide certainty. This can create emotional exhaustion and unnecessary fear during a time when you deserve gentleness and reassurance. Your chart is just one small piece of information in a much larger picture, and it does not need to answer every question you have. Your thermometer can offer data, but it cannot tell the full story of what is happening inside you. Implantation does not depend on a visible temperature change, and your body does not need to produce one to confirm that things are moving in the right direction. You are more than a chart, more than a number, and more than the patterns you try to interpret. The work happening inside your body is far too complex and delicate to be captured by a single metric. Trust that your system is functioning exactly as it should, and allow yourself the peace of knowing that temperature patterns, or the lack of them, do not determine your outcome. You are allowed to rest in the quiet truth that your body is doing its best, thermometer or not. Early pregnancy experiences are incredibly diverse, and your body may respond with noticeable changes or complete calm, both of which are entirely normal. Some people feel sudden waves of nausea or sensitivity to smells, while others experience subtle shifts in appetite or mood. But many feel absolutely no difference at all, moving through the 2-week wait with the same routine sensations they feel every month. Your body's reaction is not a test of fertility or an indicator of outcome. It is simply an expression of your unique hormonal rhythm. The appearance or absence of new sensations does not represent success or failure. It simply reflects your body's individual way of processing early hormonal changes. The mind can easily attach meaning to every new sensation during the 2-week wait, but it's important to remember that hormones like progesterone can cause many of the same feelings associated with early pregnancy. A sudden aversion to a certain smell, a wave of nausea, or unexpected fatigue might feel like a clue, but these sensations can happen in cycles with no pregnancy at all. Conversely, many successful pregnancies begin with no noticeable changes whatsoever. Your body does not need to produce symptoms to be nurturing new life, and symptoms alone are not reliable indicators. Whether your body feels different or completely normal, both experiences fall within the wide spectrum of healthy possibilities. Some people notice that foods they previously loved suddenly seem unappealing, or that everyday smells, like coffee, perfume, or cleaning products, feel stronger or more irritating than usual. These sensory shifts can be caused by hormonal activity, nervous system sensitivity, or simple digestive variation, and they can appear during pregnancy, or in normal cycles. Similarly, mood swings or emotional waves may occur because progesterone affects neurotransmitters, not necessarily because implantation has occurred. These subtle changes are not signs pointing in a single direction. They are just natural responses to the hormonal environment of the luteal phase. If you feel more emotional, reactive, or sensitive, it doesn't mean something is wrong. It means your body is responding as bodies often do. Fatigue is one of the most commonly reported sensations during early pregnancy, but it is also one of the most common results of progesterone, stress, and everyday life. Bloating, digestive changes, and even nighttime urination may occur because progesterone relaxes muscles, affects digestion, and influences kidney function. You might notice your body feeling heavier or sleepier than usual, or you may feel your energy rise in unexpected moments. Both are normal and do not predict anything specific. These sensations can happen in cycles with no pregnancy and can be completely absent in cycles where pregnancy has begun. Your body follows its own biochemical responses, and its unpredictability is completely normal. One early symptom some people report is a slight darkening of the nipples or increased sensitivity in the breast tissue, but this sensation is far from universal. These changes can be influenced by progesterone alone, by natural cycle variation, or by early hormonal shifts in pregnancy. For others, the skin, breasts, and chest feel exactly the same as every other month. Both patterns are equally valid and equally healthy. The absence of these physical shifts does not indicate that pregnancy is unlikely, just as their presence does not confirm anything. Your body's external signals are only a small reflection of the internal processes happening beneath the surface, and they are not meant to serve as early diagnostic tools. The 2-week wait can make every sensation feel magnified, but it's important to remember that your body's responses are not prophecies. Feeling everything or feeling nothing are both normal experiences shaped by unique hormonal activity, stress levels, lifestyle factors, and individual sensitivity. The presence or absence of symptoms does not define your likelihood of pregnancy and should not be used as a measure of hope or worry. You are not required to feel anything specific for your body to be doing exactly what it needs to do. Trust that your experience, quiet or intense, is valid, natural, and worthy of patience. Your body is following its own perfectly designed process, and all you need to do is breathe, stay gentle with yourself, and allow that process to unfold. Progesterone becomes the star of your body's hormonal system after ovulation, rising steadily to prepare the uterine lining and support a possible pregnancy. And because of this, most sensations you feel during the 2-week wait are the result of progesterone, not necessarily signs of implantation. This hormone affects nearly every system: your mood, your sleep, your digestion, your breasts, your energy levels, and even your body temperature. These changes can feel intense, subtle, or completely absent from cycle to cycle, and none of these patterns predict whether you are pregnant. Progesterone is doing what it is designed to do, creating a safe, stable environment in case a fertilized egg arrives. Whether you feel its presence strongly or barely notice it at all, everything you experience is part of this normal and essential process. One of the most confusing parts of the 2-week wait is that your body uses progesterone in almost the exact same way during early pregnancy as it does during the days between ovulation and your expected period. That means your symptoms, if you have them, can feel indistinguishable from what you experience in a non-pregnant cycle. Sore breasts, mood shifts, mild nausea, cramping, bloating, or a heavy lower belly sensation are all classic progesterone effects. Whether pregnancy occurs or not, your body produces progesterone during this time, so these sensations cannot be used to confirm or rule out early pregnancy. This hormonal overlap is normal, expected, and simply part of how the reproductive system functions. Progesterone has a powerful influence on the brain, interacting with neurotransmitters that regulate mood, calmness, and emotional sensitivity. During the luteal phase, some people feel more introspective, emotional, or reactive, while others feel unusually peaceful or sleepy, and these shifts can differ dramatically from month to month. You may interpret these feelings as signs of something changing, but they are simply the natural effects of progesterone circulating through your system. Mood swings during this time do not mean something is wrong with you. They mean your body is adapting to a hormone that plays a crucial role in nurturing potential early pregnancy. The emotional waves you experience are a reflection of your hormonal architecture, not a prediction of your outcome. Many people assume that early pregnancy symptoms must be intense or unusual, but in reality, most of them mirror typical luteal phase symptoms because they come from the same hormone. Progesterone slows digestion, causing bloating, constipation, or nausea. It increases blood flow to the breasts, causing tenderness, fullness, or sensitivity. It relaxes smooth muscle tissue, sometimes creating mild cramps or a pulling sensation in the lower abdomen. These sensations can appear whether or not implantation occurs, which is why they are not reliable indicators of pregnancy. What you feel is not a message from your body. It is simply progesterone performing its natural duties, supporting both possible outcomes with the same set of tools. For those undergoing fertility treatments like IUI, IVF, or luteal phase support, progesterone supplements, whether oral, vaginal, or injectable, can amplify sensations dramatically. You may feel more bloating, more tenderness, or more emotional fluctuation, simply because your hormone levels are higher than they would be naturally. These amplified sensations can feel hopeful and confusing at the same time, but they are not reliable signs of pregnancy. They are simply effects of the medication doing exactly what it is meant to do, enhancing your body's ability to support a potential pregnancy. Feeling stronger symptoms does not necessarily mean a positive result is coming, and feeling fewer symptoms does not mean your chances are low. Supplementation introduces variables that make sensation reading even harder, and that's completely normal. Progesterone is designed to protect early pregnancy by keeping the body stable, warm, and receptive, but in doing so, it creates symptoms that can feel indistinguishable from premenstrual sensations, which naturally leads to confusion. This confusion does not mean something is wrong with your body. It means your hormones are doing their job. Your task is not to decode these signals or interpret every feeling, because progesterone will never give you a clear answer during the 2-week wait. Your body isn't testing you, it's supporting you. Let the ambiguity be a reminder that biology is complex and beautifully silent when it needs to be. Trust the process, trust your body, and allow yourself to rest in the understanding that progesterone is working in your favor, even when it makes everything feel uncertain. Fertility treatments such as IUI, IVF, or medicated cycles often involve progesterone, HCG, or other hormone support medications that can create sensations that feel convincingly like early pregnancy. These medications are designed to prepare the body for implantation and support the uterine lining, and because they influence the same hormonal pathways that early pregnancy does, it becomes nearly impossible to distinguish between medication side effects and the real thing. Breast tenderness, mood swings, bloating, mild nausea, and even light cramping can all appear as a result of medication, not necessarily pregnancy. This overlap can be both hopeful and stressful, especially when you're longing for clarity, but understanding that these sensations are common and expected can help bring emotional grounding during the 2-week wait. One of the most confusing aspects of fertility treatment is the use of HCG trigger shots, which help initiate ovulation or support the luteal phase. HCG is the same hormone that pregnancy tests detect, so it can stay in your system for several days after the injection, lingering long enough to create a faint positive test even if implantation has not occurred. This situation can lead to heartbreaking confusion for people who test early and see a positive result that fades over time. The presence of HCG in your system from medication is a known, temporary effect, and it is not a sign of actual pregnancy. Understanding this can help protect your emotional well-being and encourage you to wait until the right time for an accurate test. Whether delivered orally, vaginally, or through injections, progesterone supplements can intensify many sensations the body naturally experiences during the luteal phase. Nausea may become stronger, breast tenderness more pronounced, digestion slower, and emotions more intense. These heightened sensations often make people feel certain that something is happening, only to find out it was the medication all along. The presence of strong symptoms does not guarantee pregnancy, and the absence of strong symptoms does not rule it out. Medications amplify hormonal signals in unpredictable ways, and your experience may differ from cycle to cycle. This variability is not a reason to lose hope. It is simply a reflection of how your body responds to additional support. When you're using fertility medications, feeling different is almost guaranteed, because your hormones are being supported in a way that changes the natural rhythm of your cycle. You may feel sensations earlier than usual, more intensely than usual, or in completely different parts of the body. These shifts can feel encouraging or alarming depending on your mindset, but they do not provide reliable information about whether implantation occurred. Your body is responding appropriately to the medication, doing exactly what it is supposed to do. The emotional weight of these sensations can be heavy, but trusting that these effects are expected can help reduce the pressure to interpret every shift. Progesterone supplements and other fertility medications can delay the onset of your period, sometimes by several days, creating the appearance of a pregnancy when none is present. This delay can cause confusion when pregnancy tests remain negative, and it can be emotionally challenging when you expect your cycle to follow its usual timing. But this delay is not a sign of failure. It is simply a byproduct of the hormonal support your body is receiving. Medications influence the stability of the uterine lining and can prolong the luteal phase even without fertilization. Delays rooted in medication are temporary, normal, and do not indicate anything about your fertility or your chances in future cycles. Navigating fertility treatments requires emotional resilience, patience, and a tremendous amount of self-compassion. The sensations created by medications can blur the line between hope and uncertainty, making the 2-week wait even more emotionally intense. It is important to remind yourself that your symptoms are not a test you must interpret. They are simply the result of the hormonal support you are receiving. Your body is not misleading you. It is adapting to the tools being used to help you. Allow yourself gentleness, understanding, and room to feel whatever arises. You are doing something incredibly brave, and the complexity of this journey does not diminish your strength. No matter what sensations appear or don't appear, you are moving forward with courage and care. During the 2-week wait, the desire for answers can become overwhelming, and reaching for a pregnancy test earlier than recommended can feel like the only way to quiet the anxiety. But testing too soon often leads to confusion, fear, or disappointment, because the body may not have produced enough HCG for the test to detect. Even if implantation has occurred, HCG levels begin low and rise slowly, meaning an early test can easily show a negative result simply because your body needs more time. This early negative can be emotionally painful and completely misleading, creating discouragement that does not reflect reality. Waiting is difficult, but early testing can cause far more distress than clarity. Pregnancy tests are designed to measure specific hormone levels, and if those levels have not yet reached the detectable threshold, the test will read negative even if a pregnancy is beginning. Many pregnancies do not show a positive result until the day of the expected period or even a few days after. Implantation timing varies naturally from cycle to cycle, and anything that delays implantation by even 1 or 2 days can delay a positive result. This means that an early negative is not a denial. It is simply a sign that your body is still in the early stages of its process. Testing too soon can give the illusion of certainty while actually providing incomplete information. Even a faint early positive can cause confusion if you've taken an HCG trigger shot or are using certain fertility medications, because these treatments leave traces of HCG in your system that home tests can detect. This leads to positives that fade over time, which can be emotionally devastating if you interpret them as early losses. In many cases, the test is only reflecting residual medication. Early positives can also pick up chemical pregnancies, which are technically real pregnancies, but often resolve naturally within days and may not need to be detected so early. The emotional roller coaster of early positives and early negatives can take a heavy toll on your mental health, and the lack of reliability makes early testing risky for your heart. Online charts, stories, and testing timelines can convince you that a specific day, post-ovulation, should produce a reliable result, but biology does not follow universal rules. Implantation can occur anywhere between 6 and 12 days post-ovulation, and HCG rises differently in every person. Some people test positive at 8 DPO, while others do not see a positive result until 14 or even 15 DPO, and both patterns represent completely normal pregnancies. When you compare your experience to someone else's, you place unnecessary pressure on a process you cannot control. Your body is not late, wrong, or behind. It is simply doing things on its own schedule, and that schedule is valid. The 2-week wait can feel like a storm of hope, fear, and uncertainty, and reaching for early testing is often an attempt to regain control. But the emotional cost of unreliable results can be significant, especially if you're already carrying stress from trying to conceive. Protecting your mental well-being may mean choosing to wait, giving yourself permission to avoid the emotional roller coaster of early false negatives or medication-induced positives. You deserve clarity, not confusion. You deserve peace, not panic. Waiting for the right time to test is an act of self-care, an acknowledgement that your heart matters just as much as the outcome. Although waiting feels heavy, allowing your body the time it needs to build detectable HCG levels ensures that your pregnancy test reflects reality rather than uncertainty. Patience does not guarantee a positive result, but it does guarantee a more accurate one. Giving your body time is giving yourself compassion, choosing to prioritize accuracy over anxiety. You don't need to rush answers. Your body is already moving forward at the pace it was designed to follow. Trust that clarity will come at the right moment. You are doing the best you can in an emotionally complex journey, and waiting a little longer is not weakness. It is strength, wisdom, and love for yourself. The journey to pregnancy is deeply personal, shaped by your body, your emotions, your timing, and your experiences, and it never needs to resemble anyone else's to be valid. While it's easy to compare yourself to stories online or to what your friends went through, those comparisons overlook the fundamental truth that every body moves through this process in its own unique way. Some people conceive quickly, others take time, and some follow unexpected paths filled with twists, pauses, or medical assistance. None of these routes are wrong. They are simply different expressions of the same desire for new life. Your experience is not measured by speed or symptoms. It is measured by sincerity, resilience, and love. During the 2-week wait, it can feel like your entire identity becomes tied to the sensations you do or don't feel. But your value is never determined by your symptoms. You are not failing if you feel normal, and you are not succeeding only if you feel changes. Your worth does not depend on how your body reacts to hormones, how quickly you conceive, or how closely your journey matches the expectations you built in your mind. You are a complete, capable person before pregnancy, during pregnancy, and with or without pregnancy. Your future is not defined by today's sensations. It is defined by your strength, your patience, and your ability to keep going, even when the path feels uncertain. The uncertainty of this journey can sometimes make you feel isolated, as though you're carrying silent questions that no one else understands. But millions of people have walked this emotional landscape, feeling the same mix of hope, fear, longing, and confusion, and their shared experience creates a quiet community that surrounds you, even if you cannot see it. You are not alone in these feelings, and there is nothing strange or wrong about the way you're experiencing this wait. Uncertainty doesn't isolate you. It connects you to countless others who have felt the same, and who would gently remind you that your emotions are valid, normal, and deeply human. Some people spend the 2-week wait researching every symptom, while others distract themselves with work, hobbies, or rest. Some feel optimistic, others feel worried, and many feel both at the same time. Your coping style does not have to match anyone else's. The way you navigate this time is shaped by your personality, history, and emotional needs. Whether you analyze every detail or choose to step back entirely, both approaches are valid. There is no correct emotional strategy, no perfect mindset, and no ideal response. You are allowed to move through this phase in the way that feels safest and most authentic to you. Pregnancy does not operate on a universal timetable, and your personal journey may take you through unexpected delays, surprising moments, or quiet stretches where nothing seems to be changing. These shifts are not signs of failure. They are simply reflections of your body's natural rhythm. Your timeline may be longer or shorter than you imagined, but it is still meaningful, still worthy, and still part of a larger story unfolding at the pace it is meant to. Your path does not lose value because it is different. It gains depth, strength, and truth. What matters most is that you continue moving forward with compassion for yourself. As you breathe through this moment, remind yourself that your journey is not defined by comparison, symptoms, timing, or the expectations of others. It is defined by your courage to hope, your willingness to try, and your resilience in facing uncertainty with grace. You do not need external signs to validate your process. The very act of navigating this path is a testament to your strength. Your story is unfolding in its own way, with its own meaning, shaped by your heart and your body working together. Trust that your journey, exactly as it is worthy, real, and full of possibility. You are doing enough, you are enough, and your future is still rich with hope.